our life, says. Jai? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajana Rajana Yashoda Nandana Vrajana Rajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Chandra Balava Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Prajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we'll be reading from the Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. Yesterday we had some technical difficulty. Internet went off and I didn't realize it. So if anyone who's watching, anyone who's watching, that's why nothing came through. Sorry. Oh. You know what page we were on?
Well, I wasn't here last week, but we were on 36 realizations the week before, so I'm not sure where you ended up last week.
I don't know. Oh, here it is, I think. Yes, 36. That's where the marker is. Okay, so we're reading from the Srila Prabhupada Nectar book, and if you have the actual book and you want to follow along, it would say volume 4, and this is number 36 in volume 4. Realizations. One time in Hyderabad, Srila Prabhupada revealed the essence of our relationship with him. We were walking east about a mile from the main road as the sun rose in our faces. Suddenly a car came forward, driven by some young ruffians. I was next to Srila Prabhupada on his right side, and Mahanksa was walking on his left side, like bodyguards. The car didn't slow down, but kept approaching us. I became so angry that I ran out in front of Srila Prabhupada, right in front of the car, and I put up my hands and yelled, "Stop!" My mood was if to say, "You better run over me first if you..." My mood was as if to say, "You better run over me first if you come any closer." I was shaking all over because the car almost did run me over. It was driven by 2 Indian teenagers. They stopped just in front of me. Prabhupada then came up beside me. He looked happy and was smiling. He said, "Very good, Murti. You laid down your life for me." Then he walked around the car and kept walking down the road. I took it that this was a sign of our relationship. Prabhupada's opinion of me and other devotees like me who were not his intimate sannyasi disciples was like the relationship of a general to the soldiers. He always related to us in a military mood, very strict and cordial. We never felt that we could be on familiar terms with Srila Prabhupada in terms of conversation or in activities, as did some of the other devotees, like Guru Das and others that we knew. For some reason, many in our generation of devotees related to Prabhupada in that way, that he was the master, the great general, and we were the privates. We lived that relationship. He lived that relationship, and so did we. That was written by Murti Das. My first personal encounter with Srila Prabhupada was in Switzerland. Prabhupada was meeting a very famous person, and he was in his room along with Guru Gauranga and Bhagavan and Yogeshwar. I was cooking for Prabhupada, so when he came out, and we rushed to the door to see him. We rushed to the door to see him. As Srila Prabhupada and the others went by, they were almost facing the kitchen door. When they saw us there, Yogeshwar stopped the party and said, "Srila Prabhupada, this is a very famous, world-famous fashion model, blah, blah, blah." As he went on talking, it was so embarrassing for me to have to listen. I wanted to tell Srila Prabhupada, "It's not true. I'm a devotee now. Don't listen to him." I was looking at Prabhupada like I was saying, "Help." Prabhupada looked at me straight in the eyes, and then Yogeshwar stopped. Then Yogeshwar rephrased the whole thing again. I felt like I was sinking into the ground. I had the feeling that I had disappeared from the surface of the globe. And when I came back to my consciousness, Prabhupada was still there looking at me. Yogeshwar was finishing off his little speech. Prabhupada then gave me a beautiful smile, like a little five-year-old, a mischievous, brilliant smile. It was just unbelievable, like the whole sun is in your room. He looked at me with a glint in his eyes and said, "Chant Hare Krishna." I said, "Yes, Prabhupada," and I fell flat on the ground. Prabhupada continued walking. When he told me to chant Hare Krishna, then I felt that this was the instruction I had been waiting for all my life. I was very satisfied, and I knew for sure that Krishna consciousness was for me. He confirmed the importance of chanting Hare Krishna, but it was also for me specifically. I became convinced that this was my way to please Srila Prabhupada. This was written by Shatta Rupa Devidasi. Number 37. Prabhupada's activities in the unusual and sometimes stressful situation of airplane travel constitute a special lila. Sometimes the devotees accompanying Prabhupada felt acute discomfort in having to see their spiritual master in such an inconvenienced setting. For example, it was Srila Prabhupada's habit to eat alone, but on planes this was not possible. Of course, he was sitting on the same equal level with his disciples and with non-devotees. Usually, after finishing eating, he told his disciples to share the remnants among themselves. Sometimes the devotees felt that such eating in Prabhupada's presence was perhaps offensive. But Prabhupada always insisted that they should honor the prasadam after he did. He was concerned to see that the devotees were nicely taken care of. Sometimes passengers in the opposite seats would observe the devotees eating and notice that they were eating leftovers from the spiritual master's plate. These situations had their nice features in that the devotees. These situations had their nice features in that the devotees were forced by Prabhupada's presence to stay in transcendental consciousness and not be affected by the mundane opinions of the karmis. On one occasion, when Srila Prabhupada was flying from Venezuela, the only food he had with him was puffed rice wrapped in aluminum foil. When his servant told Srila Prabhupada that this was all they had and asked whether Prabhupada wanted to take something from the plane kitchen, Prabhupada replied, "No, we have our prasadam. That's all right." Prabhupada's servant unwrapped the aluminum foil and sat it on the little table before Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ate about half of the puffed rice and then handed it over to two disciples beside him. Just as the devotees were about to share the remnants, a stewardess walked down the aisle, looked at the scene with Prabhupada, stuck her hand into the puffed rice, took a handful, and ate it. This is very good. This is very good, she said innocently. What is it? Prabhupada's servant replied, "It is puffed rice." Prabhupada looked up at the stewardess and was smiling at her. She smiled back at Prabhupada, saying, "This is very good." "I'm glad you like it," said Prabhupada's servant. "Are you having anything else to eat?" the stewardess asked. "Well, we are vegetarians," said Shrutakirti. "Unless there is some fruit or something, we won't take." "Oh, I'll go up to the first class and get you a basket of fruit," she said. The stewardess was back in a few moments with a basket of fruit along with knives and glasses. She asked if there was anything further she could get. "Prabhupada, would you like some milk?" asked Shrutakirti. "Yes, Prabhupada," said Prabhupada. "Yes," said Prabhupada. Hot milk." Usually it was not an easy thing to get a cup of hot milk from the airplane crew. But on this occasion, the stewardess was very willing. She went forward and soon returned with hot milk. Everything had happened spontaneously, starting from the moment that the stewardess took a bit of prasadam from Prabhupada's plate. Devotees in the temple used to run and dive to get Prabhupada's Mahaprasadam, but this stewardess had just spontaneously grabbed a handful and eaten it. And then she became inspired to render service to Srila Prabhupada. "That was really something," remarked Shrutakirti after the stewardess had left. "It's natural," said Srila Prabhupada. "Women have a motherly tendency to be like this." On another flight coming from Japan to Hawaii, Srila Prabhupada wanted to have another exchange with a stewardess. Srila Prabhupada was reading in a magazine about women's liberation. With this in mind, he turned to the devotee sitting beside him and said, "Call the stewardess over. Tell her if she wants to be liberated, she should shave her head like us. Then she will be liberated." Srila Prabhupada. The devotee was Prabhupada couldn't believe that he really meant it. "Go ahead," insisted Srila Prabhupada. "Call her over and cut a joke. Tell her to shave her head." Prabhupada seemed quite serious about his request and repeated it, but the devotee with him refused to do it. Okay, that's the end of that section. Number 38. So I guess he never did it. Srila Prabhupada could do something very unusual, yet he would do it as if it were perfectly normal. Such was the case when he decided to bathe in the washroom at the airport in Bangkok. He had been flying for several hours and was taking a 2-hour stopover in the transit area before heading on for another several hours flight. It was very early in the morning, and the airport was not crowded. While waiting, Srila Prabhupada decided he wanted to bathe. So he asked the servant to get his fresh clothes and his bathing paraphernalia. To accomplish this, the servant had to first locate their luggage, which was being changed from one airplane to another. When his servant managed to do that, he and Srila Prabhupada went to the men's room. This particular airport had no shower facility, but Srila Prabhupada wanted to use whatever they had. He walked up to the small sink and said he would bathe there. The local attendant was with them in the bathroom, and when he saw what Srila Prabhupada was about to do, he became upset. Prabhupada proceeded coolly. Using his lotus, he obtained water from the faucet and, covering the lower portion of his body with a gamsha, began washing with soap. Then, the attendant didn't directly confront them, but he became increasingly upset, mumbling all over the floor. When Prabhupada finished, the servant handed him a towel, and he dried off. Then he put on his fresh clothing. Only as they started to leave did the attendant come forward. He approached Srila Prabhupada and began speaking in the Thai language. They couldn't understand his words, but he was obviously angry. "Just go away," said Srila Prabhupada's servant, and he thought, "Just go away," said Srila Prabhupada's servant, and he thought, "You're lucky you're getting to wipe up this water." "I think he's a little upset," said Srila Prabhupada's servant. Prabhupada laughed and said, "I had to bathe. I was feeling very tired." Number 39. Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, was a great favorite of his, and also his disciples, as they witnessed her devotion to Srila Prabhupada and his transcendental relationship with her. The devotees first heard of her when she sent Srila Prabhupada some papadums in the mail in 1967. When Prabhupada said these things had been sent by his sister, the devotees became curious and asked more about her. "Yes," said Srila Prabhupada, she always attacks me." The devotees were shocked and asked, "What do you mean, Srila Prabhupada?" Prabhupada laughed heartily and said, "She attacks me with her tears. Sometimes when she sees me, she cries. That is a woman's weapon." When they asked more, Prabhupada told a little more about Pishima. He said, when he was a young boy, he used to beat her once a day. When she got married, he once went to her house and was beating her there. But their mother told him, "You don't have to beat her now because she has a husband." If she does something wrong, her husband can beat her. Prabhupada objected and said, "No, this is my relationship with my sister. I must be strict with her." Strict with her. One day in Vrindavan, Prabhupada entered the sewing room where his female disciples were working. His sister had been there distributing sweets to the girls, but she had momentarily gone off to the bathroom. Where is the fat one?" asked Prabhupada. "The fat one?" asked one of his disciples. "My sister. Where is she?" "Oh, she stepped out to the ladies' room," Srila Prabhupada. "When she comes back," said Srila Prabhupada, "tell her I want to see her." By intimate dealings like this, devotees enjoyed associating with Prabhupada and Pishima. One time in Mayapur, the lights went out, and Prabhupada called over his sannyasi disciple, Panchadravida Swami. "Please take my sister downstairs," Prabhupada requested. At Prabhupada's order, Panchadravida led Pishima downstairs, appreciating the relationship of Prabhupada and his sister. Sometimes Prabhupada would mock his sister in his disciples' presence. She could not understand the language, but enjoyed the attention from her wonderful brother. "Look at her," said Prabhupada. how fat she is. When the devotees started laughing, Pishima looked up and started laughing also. Do you know any person who is fat without eating? Prabhupada asked. No, Prabhupada, a disciple replied. I don't think that is possible. Yes, Prabhupada laughed. But she tells me that she eats very little, yet she keeps on gaining weight. But I know she is eating. Sometimes devotees working on Prabhupada's personal staff were bewildered in how to deal with her. One servant complained to Prabhupada that Pishima was sleeping in the servants' quarters and the men couldn't use the room. Although they had spoken to her, she would not listen. Prabhupada said that he would tell her that she cannot do that. Even after talking with Prabhupada, however, she was determined and continued to loiter around the servants' quarters, just in order to be near Prabhupada. When the devotees tried to complain to Pishima that her cooking was not good for Prabhupada's digestion, she replied that if he wanted to, Prabhupada could eat nails and digest them. One night at a pandal attended by tens of thousands of people, Pishima joined in the ecstasy of worshiping Prabhupada. Indians were rushing to the stage to touch Prabhupada's feet. Pishima herself went up, touched Prabhupada's feet, and then returned to the audience and touched many persons. She began to go back and forth, touching Prabhupada's feet and then touching persons in the audience. Prabhupada stopped her angrily. Tell her to sit down. Srila Prabhupada ordered, stop this. Pishima realized that she had made a blunder and she went home and returned the next day with a big feast for Prabhupada. Number 40. Let's go open. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Shri Radha Vraja Vihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, and Shikade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Number 40, Little Drops of Nectar. Prabhupada, when there is a choice to make in the service of Krishna and you don't know whether to do this or that, how do you choose? There is no choice, Prabhupada replied. You simply do what Krishna gives you. Ranchor Das was trying to understand whether he should go back to Manchester, England. He had been there twice to open a preaching center, but for different reasons he had had to come back. Now he was asking Prabhupada for his permission and blessings to make another attempt. I was wondering whether I should go to Manchester to preach, Ranchor asked directly. Perhaps you can tell me what to do. Prabhupada answered while walking toward the window. How many times has a center been opened in Manchester? Ranchor replied that it had been tried twice. This time, if you go, said Srila Prabhupada, it must not close. Prabhupada looked away, and Ranchor took this to mean that the meeting should end. He made his obeisances at the door, but just before leaving, he asked another question. Prabhupada, Is there any special instruction, special service you can give me? Prabhupada looked at him and said, simply preach. That is all. Simply preach. When the tape recorder at the 22nd Avenue broke, it was Umapati Das's responsibility to fix it. One time a fuse had blown, and Umapati a new one. Meeting Srila Prabhupada in the courtyard of the building, he asked for the money. The student shouldn't ask the spiritual master for money, said Prabhupada. Ramapati didn't know what to do or say. He didn't have any money, and he wanted to fix the tape recorder. Despite Prabhupada's instructions, Ramapati repeated that he didn't have the money. Prabhupada also repeated that the student should not ask the spiritual master for money. Finally, Prabhupada gave him the 35 cents, but only after making sure that he understood very well that a disciple should not ask the spiritual master for money. Next paragraph. When Jagadatri Devi Dasi was receiving her Gayatri Mantra instructions from Prabhupada, she asked him when the mantra should be chanted. Prabhupada replied, morning, noon, and night. Then she asked, Srila Prabhupada, how am I going to remember you and surrender to you for the rest of my life? Prabhupada smiled and replied that if she chanted 16 rounds a day and followed the 4 principles, she would remember him and surrender to him. Prabhupada was then quiet for a few seconds and added, don't forget to feed me. Don't forget to feed me. Next section, number 41. Srila Prabhupada said, on challenges and outside influences on ISKCON. These are letters. Regarding the 2 men who have come to us from Gaudiya Math, for the time being, we should not try to give shelter to such persons unless they are tested. That was a letter in December 4th, 1976. The letter. Why Nitai should be attending lectures outside our temple? If he is not satisfied with the standards of lectures in our temples, then he should be permitted to give some lectures himself. But this habit of going outside to hear others should be stopped immediately. I'm writing one letter to Nitai. A copy of this is enclosed for your reference. The letter was written in July 14th, 1976. Another. I have received reports that you have been developing the habit of going outside the temple to hear lectures by others outside, like the Sringa Ballabha. Also, I've heard now that some of the Indian devotees are doing likewise. Strictly nobody should go outside to hear lectures by others. If you are not satisfied by the caliber of the classes of the Krishna Balaram Mandir, then you should give another class. But you cannot go outside for hearing others' lectures. Kindly stop this habit immediately. Letter of July 14th, 1976. That was written to Nitai. Nitai was his Sanskrit scholar. He knew some Sanskrit. He was working with Srila Prabhupada like that, assisting in that way. But he also had a tendency to deviate. Another letter. Do not let your mind be disturbed by so many things. Our movement is for chanting Hare Krishna. One can be happy under any condition. Sama dukkha sukham dhiram. Krishna consciousness does not depend on any external arrangement. You should not go outside the shelter of this ISKCON. Just try to be happy by chanting Hare Krishna and following the regular principles. The letter was February 15th, 1976. And one other letter. I am actually authority accepted by authority. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tara Pravartana. So now the Hare Krishna movement is world known, and learned scholars, etc., give plaudits to me, as Professor Judah has. So why am I not authority? Nobody says Bon Swami has done it, or Vivekananda, or any other Swami. There are so many yogis and Swamis coming, but nobody is giving credit to them. They are giving credit to me. So why am I not authority? If Krishna accepts me as authority, then who can deny it? On the whole, if his motive is to suppress me, and that is why he has come here, how can we receive him? He has already given one professor a wrong impression. He may be treated as a guest. If he comes to our center, give him prasadam, honor him as an elder Vaishnava, but he cannot speak or lecture. If he wants to lecture, you can tell him that there's already another speaker scheduled. That's all. I don't know, it doesn't say exactly who Srila was referring to here, but it was one of his godbrothers. The same quote comes up in the disciple course for that purpose. Number 42. Number 42. Srila Prabhupada tells short stories. If you simply understand Krishna thoroughly, then you are liberated. Janma karma chame divyam. The question, if Krishna is God, why is Mother Yashoda binding him? But they do not know that this is pleasure. There are many instances. I will cite one instance. There was a big prime minister in England, Gladstone, Queen Victoria's prime minister. Someone came to see him, and the servant informed him that the prime minister is busy. So you wait. The man was waiting, and an hour passed, and still there was no message. Finally, he opened the door because he wanted to see what the prime minister was doing. He saw then that the prime minister had become a horse, and his grandson was riding on him. That is enjoyment. He is the prime minister, but he has become the horse of his grandson. This is the position with Krishna. Another paragraph. Yes, you cannot want something unless you derive some pleasure from it. Just like the devotees' theater performance in Ahmedabad. They showed how the butcher was killing animals, and he was attracted to that killing. I have also seen this myself in Calcutta. I was passing through, and one hotel man was cutting the throat of a chicken after being After being cut, the chicken was jumping, and the man was laughing. He was taking pleasure in this. For me, it was horrible, but he was taking very nice pleasure in it. The half-cut chicken was jumping, and the man's son was crying. The man was asking his son, "Why are you crying?" So it is a question of different qualities. One is attracted, and one finds it something that is detracted. The attractiveness is called mellow, rasa, taste. Another paragraph. There's a Bengali proverb that one girl has to dance on a stage. There's a Bengali proverb that one girl was to dance on a stage. So in Indian civilization, the women, they cover their heads in front of their superiors. But this girl was to go on stage. So why should she put on her veil in this case? Where is the opportunity to appear as a household wife on stage? So the saying is, you have come to a dance, so why put on the veil? Similarly, Arjuna was chastised. You have come to fight, and now you are becoming very unviolent. This is all nonsense. You have to do your duties in proper place. That is Aryan. Another paragraph. There's a story about one man, a cook, who bought a nice new pair of shoes. But all morning long he was in the kitchen cooking, so he couldn't use his shoes. Similarly, all afternoon he was cooking. So what did he do? At night, when he went to sleep, he wore the shoes. So these shoes, which the devotees had sent Prabhupada in the mail, are so nice, but I don't know when I shall be able to wear them. So when taking rest at night, I shall wear them. Another paragraph. The scientists admit their ignorance. They are simply bluffing. Another bluff is the Mars-going expedition. Oh. The business is going on in Arizona. That's all. After a few years, they will present some stones and say, "Now we went to Mars." There's no possibility of living there. Taking this stone and sand and take this stone and sand and be satisfied for your millions of dollars that you have spent. So of course this doesn't show when this was written, but it had to have been before 1977. So Srila was already saying, because now they're, big push to try to not go back to the moon, they say, but go to Mars. But it'll never happen. It won't happen. So Srila made this many years ago. Made this point. It's not going to happen. And one more paragraph, and then we'll have to stop. There is a song in Bengal that formerly anything European, Sahab. That is good. So one person was selling meat. One person was selling meat, the flesh of a dog. No one takes the flesh of a dog, at least in India. But he said, this is not ordinary. This was the dog that was killed by a viceroy. It is that dog. So because the viceroy killed it, it has become a nice dog and you can eat it. The scientists are like that. Anything they say is to be accept it because the scientists say it. Um, I think I have to stop here. But let me see the comments here. Okay, some comments but no questions. So, okay, so I think we'll have to end today because I have other duties to take care of. So everyone who's come, thank you very much. Any,
Yes, I do.
speaking to the microphone now.
Shadama Das, and thank you always for your lectures and everything you do. Could you make it clear, who are we allowed to hear from? You don't have to say who we don't have, but who are the Vaishnavas who are allowed to hear from? Hear us ISKCON,
Within ISKCON,
just within ISKCON.
yes. We should hear from devotees who are following Srila Prabhupada.
It doesn't matter if they're initiated or not initiated, or if they have first initiation or second initiation. Is there any?
That doesn't really matter. It's if someone is speaking with Srila Prabhupada speaking.
Exactly.
That's the point.
As it is.
I mean, we're supposed to speak according to our realizations.
So, in other words, these home programs that are not ISKCON, that you know that they're everywhere, we should not be going to those home programs. I've never gone to one, but we should not be going to those home programs if they're not ISKCON.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I've never had.
Because, the same reason that Srila Prabhupada advised us, instructed us. Just like he said, don't go to my god brothers to get information, to get knowledge, because he said if they say one thing different from what I'm teaching you, there'll be so much confusion. He says. So we actually should. There might be devotees from other groups like that can speak nice philosophy and nice stories and like that. Yeah, for sure. And it's not necessarily that everything is wrong or bad, but if the problem is if there's something that was just said that is different than how Srila Prabhupada said it, then it could cause us confusion. And Srila Prabhupada many times was telling his disciples, specifically, don't go to see his god brothers to get information, and that was the reason. Because then devotees would come back and say, well, they told me, they said this, but you said like this, and now we don't know what's right. So Srila Prabhupada made it just clear: don't go to them. And the same thing he said in this what we're reading today.
Are you talking about Prabhupada's godbrothers that deviated in terms of written?
Well, Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, they had their. Srila Prabhupada was very, when establishing ISKCON, he was very, very closely followed as far as could be done, followed what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. But some of his godbrothers, they had other ways of seeing things. And so he would tell disciples who were thinking, oh, let me go and ask about Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers about different things. But he said, don't do that, because if their view on something may be different, and there are, as I mentioned in classes or other Srimad Bhagavatam classes, sometimes there's general principles and there's details, and general principles hopefully are not being changed, but the detail, if your founder Acharya is giving certain information, certain knowledge about something, how he's going to do it, how it's being done in ISKCON, and someone else has a little bit different view on that, then they become, okay, well, who do we listen to? So better to just, Srila Prabhupada gave us everything. So we have tons of books, letters, lectures, personal dealings, Srila Prabhupada gave us so much. He gave us everything we need. He said, don't invent anything, don't create anything. Just take what I've given you. And if we do that, then we're safe. And if we don't do that, we might get in problem. Probably will get in problem at some point. So yeah, better to stay with those who in ISKCON and those who are teaching in the ISKCON what Srila Prabhupada gave us.
Thank you, Dharmadas. Krishna. Thank you so much.
If devotees are going to programs that are ISKCON devotees, is that permitted? Yes. If we're going to devotees, and they're ISKCON devotees, and of course ISKCON devotees means they should be preaching what Srila Prabhupada taught, then that's okay. You know, I mean, just like Srila Prabhupada had his disciples. Well, of course, with Srila Prabhupada, like in New York, in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada was in the original New York temple, the storefront temple. He would give all the classes, and then when he went traveling, when he went to the west coast of the United States, and did start another center there, because there were devotees who were interested. Devotees in New York were thinking, how can we do classes? You know, because Srila Prabhupada just said, no, you give the classes among yourselves. You just read the books and you speak what I've taught you, like that. So that was the system. So if anything if we're going to a program and someone is preaching and they're preaching based on Srila Prabhupada's books, and we should that's good. But we should also study Srila Prabhupada's books. We should know the philosophy. So if someone is preaching something and it goes way outside of what is in Srila Prabhupada's book, what Srila Prabhupada taught us, then we should at least be aware of that. The books, Srila Prabhupada says, he says, because the devotees were going out and selling so many books, we said, but these are not just for selling, they're for you to study. And Srila Prabhupada introduced the idea of the Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, all these different levels. He introduced all that idea. It took a while for it to get going. Mostly it didn't happen until after Srila Prabhupada was gone, physically gone. But he wanted us to study these books in great detail. And so we should study, and we should know what the philosophy is. We should actually be able to someone says, what is Lord Chaitanya's mission? Because we're we're in this movement. We're naturally in a position. We're supposed to be representing Lord Chaitanya and his teachings. So we should be able to tell someone if they ask us, what is Lord Chaitanya's teachings? What is his mission? What knowledge is this? And of course we should also be able to, if we're hearing someone speak, we should also be aware what the standard is, so that if we hear something which is not quite right, we should be able to understand that it's not right. So I hope that answers the question. So I think I have to end here because I've finished my service here. But tomorrow, Saturday, we'll go back to the next verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think verse 12, I believe, of the 8th canto, 3rd chapter. So we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Nectar book ki jai.